Well, hey, hello everybody today. Pastor Eric here for our daily lunchtime devotional. We're going to try and keep it under 5 minutes as always. And I say as always, this is only our third day to do it. We'll be doing these every day during these times of social distancing during the coronavirus. Hopefully, a little bit of communication and community building will you'll find helpful. Now. Today I wanted to talk about prayer a little bit. Yesterday we talked about how when you wash your hands, if you say the Lord's Prayer, that takes about 20 seconds, and that's about how long you're supposed to be washing your hands. And remember, use hot water, they say. Actually, a good friend of ours' daughter in high school about 10 years ago got an award for her science fair project. I guess it might have been a junior high science fair project that showed the amount of germs you kill with hot water is like 5 times as high or something. It's just crazy. It's kind of nasty too. But anyway, so say the Lord's Prayer when you wash your hands is something that some folks are doing. Certainly better, I think, than singing the birthday song. But anyway, wanted to, and let me move this over here so I'm looking at you when I read it. Wanted to talk about the Lord's Prayer. And for those of you who've been at Anna for the last 2.5 years when I've been pastor, yes, I've talked about the Lord's Prayer before. And so the Lord's Prayer is found in the book of Matthew, chapter 6. There's also another version in the Gospel according to Luke. But the one that most people use is the one that's found in Matthew 6. It starts in verse 9, and it goes through verse 14. And let's talk here. So then Jesus was asked by his disciples, this is right after he talks about going into to your own room and closing the door when you pray to the Father. You're only supposed to be praying to God. You're not trying to pray and keep babbling like the pagans. But then to the disciples he turned and said, this then is how you should pray. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. And of course, in the NIV, it says, talking about that ending in regards to which transcripts. There's some transcripts that don't have that ending. But anyway, that's the Lord's Prayer. That's the traditional prayer. And I've always loved the Lord's Prayer. It's one of the things that if you analyze the Lord's Prayer, it comes into 4 parts very easily. And that really teaches us why this is a great sample prayer and why Jesus wanted us to say it. And we don't have to say the Lord's Prayer word for word every time, but if we do, if we're doing it with our heart and not just with our lips or not just repeating it remotely, then it's a pretty good way to get your heart and your mind and your spirit in connection with God. So let's start off with talking about the 4 parts. First part is Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So we're starting prayer, and you don't have to start every prayer this way, but it's a good way to start a prayer is to recognize, hey, you're God and I'm not. You're powerful, not so much me. You're holy, yeah, not so much me. It puts us into focus that we're speaking to the creator of the universe who actually loves us and who's actually bigger than our problems. So to start off a prayer by recognizing God as God and maybe even praising him, hallowed be your name is a praise. So to start the prayer with the recognition of God and the recognition that he is to be praised. So that is the first part. And now tomorrow we're going to go into the last 2 parts in more detail. The second part here is your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So first we want to recognize God. We want to recognize God's power, God's love, praise his name, praise his attributes. And then we want to ourselves and both to God admit that we prefer God's will to our way. Now, we still want to pray in parts 3 and 4, or we're asking for things in part 3. It's okay to ask. As a matter of fact, God wants us to ask. But if we do the first two things first, recognize that God is God, and that He's bigger than our problems, and then recognize we want His will to be done, we're not just begging God for our will to be done. We're asking God to mold the way things are happening in our hearts and in our world so that it becomes what God's will is, what God wants it to be. So there you go. That's the devotional thought for the day. I hope you're having a great day, whether you're at home or socially distancing yourself in a workplace where that's capable of being done. Have a blessed day. Thanks.